under 2,000 pounds is definitely victim weight. And before you get mad at me, let me explain why I used to think this was the case, right? So when I first started my fitness journey, 200 pounds was like the holy grail, because on social media, they all talk about how 200 pounds is like, you know, what the ideal to strive after. That 200 pounds, once you've made 200 pounds, you've made it in like the fitness world. Like once you've crossed that 200 pound threshold, it's like, you're like the ultimate gym bro in a sense. Like you kind of dominate every room you walk into. Everybody automatically respects you. Like that is the place you want to be at. Like if you can flex that you're 200 pounds, like you've made it, right? And I've gotten to that point where I got up to 200 pounds, right? And I bulked up to that size, right? Dirty bulk, wasn't a clean bulk. But one thing I realized, once I got to 200 pounds, I realized that after doing the dirty bulk, I think the heaviest I was like 210. It didn't really look that, I mean, it looked good like in a shirt on, with a shirt on and stuff. It looked pretty good, like, you know, when I wore a certain type of clothing. Like I definitely filled out, like definitely had a more like dominant aura, dominant physique. But I feel like when I weighed less, when I was around 190, 185 around there, I looked a lot better because I looked a lot better because I was leaner, and I actually maximized like the V taper and all that type of stuff, right? And I actually had a decent balance between the size and and vascularity, like the leanness, right? And I think the key is not just aiming for 200 pounds, but is aiming for a weight that makes you look the most, that has the best balance between vascularity and size, right? I think that's the best physiques. That's the key. And also adding in the V taper, right? Which is maximizing your shoulders and your lats, so you create that V taper effect. I think those are the best physiques, right? It's not about being the biggest guy in the room. It's not about being like 200 pounds. It's not about being the leanest guy. I think it's a balance of both. Some people think it's about being a huge power lifter, bodybuilder type of guy. Some people think that it's like the leanest guy in the room, but I think it's a balance of both. Balance of both being lean and maximizing our size, right? And I think in terms of like escaping victim weight, I think escaping victim weight is different for everybody. For some people, for example, 200 pounds might be the threshold that you're aiming for. Like, for example, if you're a taller guy who's like, maybe you're 6'4", 6'5", then sure, aiming for 200 pounds makes sense because you can fill out a wider frame, right? And it just makes sense for you to look your best because you can balance that leanness with size because you have enough frame to fill out, right? But if you're like a shorter guy and you're aiming for 200 pounds, say for example, you're like 5'9", 5'8", you're better off aiming for like a 180, 175 around that range, because then you can balance a decent amount of muscle size that focuses both on the vascularity and size, right? Like for example, me right now, I am about 5'11", 6 foot on a good day, right? Like I think a decent size for me is like aiming for like 190, 185 around there, with a decent amount of like muscle size to me, balanced with like a decent level of body fat percentage in between 12 to 15% around there. I think that's a decent size for me, right? Like I think it's a perfect size where it's like, I'm like, don't look super big, you know what I mean? Like some huge bodybuilder type guy, or I'm not like super shredded, you know what I mean? It's like a nice balance of both, right? And I think those are the physiques that stand out to me personally, right? Because I don't like, for example, I don't know, I don't like being like super skinny, and I don't want to be like super huge to where I can barely move my arms and stuff, right? I like a nice balance, and I think the best physiques have that balance between vascularity and size, right? And I think that is key to escaping victim weight. So the key to escaping victim weight, I think, is different for everybody. You have to find the weight that makes sense for you, a weight that you can balance the vascularity and the size. I think that is the key, right? The key is just not to look scrawny, the key is to look like you lift, right? There's no ideal weight that you need to strive for, right? I mean, maybe there is, but it's different for everybody. That weight looks different for everybody. For some of you, that weight might be, depending on how tall you are, that weight might be 200 pounds. For some people, that weight might be 190 pounds. That weight might be 180, right? Maybe it might be 175. Like your height really determines what that threshold is to escape victim weight, right? So it's going to look different for everybody. And that is something I have realized after reaching 200 pounds. Currently right now, I'm about 195, 190. For those of you guys that don't know, I just came back from an injury, right? I tore my Achilles. It was only a partial tear, right? But I was out of the gym for about 3 months, right? And in that time, I've gained a little bit of weight, right? Now I'm back in the gym, right? So right now I'm on a maintenance, right? So trying to eat at maintenance calories. I'm trying to do a body recomp so that I can gain muscle and lose fat at the same time, because I've heard that the only times you can really maximize like those like quote unquote newbie gains or body recomp is when you're either a new lifter or you're either an experienced lifter who's taken a break after some time. That's when you can experience that instance where you can build muscle and lose fat at the same time. So I'm kind of playing around with this body recomp right now. I'm just trying to eat at like maintenance calories, right? I'm trying to main gain at this weight. I might do like, depending on how it looks in a month or whatnot, I might go on a slight deficit, but we're going to see how this goes. I will update you guys on how this goes. But that's all I really have to say for this video. Make sure you book a one-on-one consultation if you're looking to build a physique that commands respect and never bores the audience, and you need help with your fitness journey. I'm the guy for that. We'll have a little conversation. First link in the description or in the comment section. Book that call. We'll have a conversation. We'll see if it makes sense to work together. And if you are selected, we will work on your nutrition, mindset, training plan, things of that nature, so that we can help you reach the physique that you actually want. That sounds like you. Hit that link in the description or a link in the comment section pinned down below. Make sure you like, comment, subscribe. Remember, there is nothing enlightening about playing small. I'll catch y'all in the next video.